I've decided to do a quick part 2. I forgot to mention something in my earlier video. I mentioned all these comet impacts and the whole story for today. For those of you viewing that video, you're going to have to see part 2 here. If this Comet Ison, or any comet or meteor or asteroid were to come by us and hit either any of the inner planets, especially the moon, for every item that hits the moon, at least 20 items are ejected up into the atmosphere, or not the atmosphere, but outside the moon's orbit, and could very well come towards Earth, and if it hits water, cause huge tsunamis, great destruction all over the world. 20 items, how big is each item? Do your research. If, in fact, it hit Mars, it would eject huge chunks. And these chunks do come towards Earth. And if they did, those chunks, like chain reaction, could hit the moon and Earth and cause huge tsunamis and great destruction. How do you think they found life in a meteor that came from Mars? I mean, figure it out. Even if a comet or a meteor hit Venus, it could throw out enough material that would come towards Earth as well. So, you know, and if you consult scientists and JPL and all these people, even if you're consulting, even if you're consulting directly all the president's advisors, and even if the president goes on TV and says, don't listen to anybody that's trying to cause worldwide panic with the so-called, it might hit Earth. Hey, you've lived your life, humanity has lived their life, the rap sheet for the human race has the last 10,000 years, you've heard me say this before, has been a rap sheet, a very bad rap sheet, of the scientists from MIT compiled as information. I say this in my other videos. I said that there's been more than 7,750 years of wars in bits and pieces all over the planet, and only less than 300 years of peace in bits and pieces all over the planet out of that 10,000 years. So that's a bad rap sheet already. So put your head between your ass and kiss it goodbye. So why should the government, oh man. So why should the government tell you the truth? They're not going to tell you the truth. So it behooves you to understand that what I'm telling you, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to do your own homework. And if you're not concerned enough to check it out, then when the time comes, well, maybe you're better off not knowing, because you'd just be standing there and a tsunami wave is going to take you and your house and your apartments or wherever you're at, your shopping center, your church, boom, you're gone. Boom, just like in the movie Armageddon. The guy sitting there reading a newspaper in New York City, and the wave comes and whoosh, washes him away. Or I think that was in the movie Deep Impact, excuse me, because that's where it actually hits. So I'm corrected. It's not Armageddon. It's Deep Impact, where the guy's opening a newspaper and the wave just comes in and blows him away. And in the movie 2012, you know, when they say Earth changes, and if you get a big, huge asteroid or even a small meteorite that hits around the Yellowstone area, you're going to have a volcanic eruption that's going to affect the United States completely. Of an area that's like 50 miles wide, huge cauldron that will explode and set off a whole chain reaction of volcanoes throughout the whole United States, including in the area of Colorado where I wanted to build this place that I was going to call Shangri-La, and everybody could have a safe place to be and survive and actually build their human race again, and maybe not make the same mistakes this human race has made over the last 10,000 years. So, so in this short video, I'm just, telling people This isn't about feeling sorry for me. I mean, you know, for 3 years I've been on YouTube, I asked for help. Nobody wants to help. Fine. When and if these days come and it happens to be that they are lying to you and the end comes, remember me. Remember I told you that you should not have trusted these people from the very beginning. And but you people want to do it your way, so fine. Your way is death's way. Will create a permanent death for the human race. My way would have at least saved some of us to be able to rebuild in a special way, and we may have even discovered what I claim, immortality. I have a couple of ideas that, because of my extensive background in quantum physics and experimenting and research programs, and most important of all, connecting the right dots. Because that's what discovery is. Mentally connecting the right dots to prove your argument and backing it up with research. And I'll say one last time the 5 websites you need to go to. And then formulate your own opinion after you go to these websites. 1, there are invisible anomalies in the water, and they control and manipulate us because the planet Earth is based on one thing eating another in order to survive. And in order to fight that urge, you would have to have intelligence and be able to fight that water coursing through your body, trying to affect you in certain ways that you don't want to be affected. So, Dr. Emoto's website, which proves that water, the way I interpret it, is alive and does think without having a brain, recognizes languages, every language on planet Earth, and that the water is alive and is using you for its own purposes, its own end result. In the movie, there's a movie that I mentioned in the past that talks about this, and it's mentioned in that movie, John Carter of Mars, where this third entity, 3 different races, and the third race is a watcher race that is actually benefiting off the pain and suffering of the other 2 races. So as long as they kill each other off, this third entity is sucking energy from them and actually benefiting. And it's an invisible race. And that's not the only place to look for that. That's John Carter of Mars. In the original Star Trek episodes, William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and the Klingons are trapped on the Starship Enterprise, and they're killing each other because this invisible entity, it's called the Day of the Dove, that's the name of the Star Trek episode, and it's literally sucking off the energy of them killing each other off. And then the energy helps to repair the bodies that have been mutilated and murdered, and resurrects them so they can continue to keep fighting because this entity feeds off of the fighting. It's a great idea. What if it's true? What if it is true? So check it out. Check those 2 things out. So anyway, Dr. Emoto's website, which could be interpreted as proving that water is alive, and it works in combination with dark matter, which connects all atoms and energy fields throughout the whole universe. And then the second website called Entanglement, which proves that this dark matter connecting all water and all energy things could in fact exist, because it's based on an experiment that was carried in the University of Paris in 1984, which is very little publicized. The CIA chopping gorilla heads off and transplanting them on other bodies to see if frequency waves could revive them. That's a research thing that actually took place by an ex-CIA official who released that information, called, his name is Ralph McGehee, and he talks about those experiments the CIA did in mind control programs of the 60s and the 70s. Then that's all to deal with entanglement. And then there's the 99th monkey philosophy, that's the third one. Then the fourth one is the clam experiments, where they took clams from the eastern seaboard and put them in an artificial tank in the University of Minnesota, and they got certain results that reinforce my first 3 websites I'm telling you to go to. And then the last one, which is a Dr. Cousteau's experiment, which was also an artificial sea tank, saltwater tank where fish were put in, and Cousteau, the fish in the artificial tank were dying, and he took 1 cup of water from a natural seawater and poured it into the artificial seawater tank, and all the fish started to revive and get better. So there is something in water that is alive, that's thinking, feeling, and actually manipulates and is able to interpret every language and possibly influence us in certain ways that we have to be made aware of in order to fight these urges and be able to have truly have our own lives. Which is what Buddha was trying to teach you about enlightenment, that Maya is fake, that it's illusion, that life is illusion. No, it isn't. Buddha had it wrong. Life is not illusion. It is real, but it is being manipulated by these invisible entities that exist everywhere that we go. It exists in our water, in our air, in our food. It exists everywhere. Now, I'm not going to try to convince you. I want you to go and do your own research and come to your own conclusions. But in the final result, when you've connected all the dots I've just talked about, you're going to go, holy Christ, Ches is right, Caesar is right. He's every website, everything I try to investigate, my God, he's hit it right on the head. There's no way you're not going to... Anyone who says they don't agree with me and they think I'm crazy, they're the crazy ones. They're the ones that are idiots. They're the ones that these invisible entities have already got them so controlled that they'll never have an open mind to research. I'm not asking you to believe me. Go check it out before the end of the world comes. At least you'll know the truth before the end of the world happens. See you later.